Shravan sir?
Sir, shall we start, sir?
Yes, sir, we can start.
So, uh, good afternoon to everyone. Uh, under the Institution Innovation Council 4.0, Department of Civil Engineering, we are organizing a program. So our request, welcome you all of you, HOD, Madam, Dr. Subhas sir, and our guest, speaker, Mr. Vijayan sir, and I request all the students, okay, to join the program. The Institution Innovation Council to bring up, innovative ideas and startup thoughts from the students. Okay, so Institution Innovation Council under MHRD, so they are organizing many programs. Okay, so today we are going to we are going to have the program on process of innovation development and technology readiness level. Okay, technology readiness level and commercialization of lab technologies and tech transfer. Okay, by our resource person, Mr. Vijayan sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. I request our HOD madam to speak a few words on today's program.
Good afternoon, all. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Professor
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, head of the Department of Civil Engineering, JNIT. Yes, this IIC, it is an institution innovation council which is nourishing the students to make their career decisions by conducting the programs with experts about innovation, technology, etc. This is such program that is process of innovation development and technology readiness level and commercialization of lab technologies and tech transfer by Mr. Vijayan Challaya from Tamil Nadu. Hope this program aid the students to step into next level of technology, knowing yes, and sir, we are very happy uh, to be or you be with us. So I invite Mr. Vijayan Chalaya to start the expert talk on process of innovation development and technology readiness level and commercialization of lab technologies and tech transfer. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I invite you to start the expert lecture, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam. I request Subhas sir to speak a few words uh, about the today's program and about the speaker.
Yeah. So thank you, Shravan sir. So very good afternoon to our students and HOD ma'am and the speaker today. So I need to tell some crucial things, good things about the speaker. So the speaker, he is having the experience of research, he is having experience in teaching, he has experience in industry. Okay, so he has a research in IIT Guwahati, he has a teaching experience in engineering college, IT experience companies, hotel, and he is having the own company after all these things. Okay, so as a students, you can enjoy the session. Okay, and whatever the doubts, useful things you can get from the respective speaker. Okay, so I wish you all success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Sandeep Reddy sir to give a brief introduction about the speaker.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, I'm Sandeep Reddy, Assistant Professor of Civil Department. So, here I'm reading out a speaker profile. I welcome Mr. Vijayan Chellaya and all the other participants. Mr. Vijayan Chellaya is a director in Congruence Infrastructure Private Limited, Madurai, Tamil Nadu. He completed BE in 2010, ME in 2013 from Anna University, Tamil Nadu, PhD in IIT Guwahati, and currently pursuing LLB. Mr. Vijayan Chellaya worked as a teaching assistant in IIC Guwahati, and he has achieved various positions in industry and academics side also. He published book chapters, number of journals, attended conferences, and participated in various workshops. Mr. Vijayan Chellaya has also taken number of online courses and certified. He awarded with the first prize and best paper award for research paper on CRIP management category in 2017 and various others also. So, in this regard, I welcome Mr. Vijay Chalaya sir to take the program.
Thank you, everybody, for inviting me as a guest lecturer for this program. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You can start the session, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I don't need to brief anything more about me because all my friends and colleagues have said a brief about me. So I directly jump into this topic. First of all, this topic is very interesting for me, especially for me. Why? Because this process of innovation development and technology readiness, all this commercialization from the lab technologies to the to commercialization, all these things are very much close to me because being as a research scholar, I've been in the industry for quite some times, and after that I came to research from where I got those practical knowledge from the industry to the laboratories, and from here I got the technical knowledge more into a laboratory kind of things, and with that base I have started a company recently, just 6 months before, and this process exactly tells what I have done. So I feel it very connected to this topic especially, and I feel it like okay, we can give a talk on this and add value to the uh, this institution's innovation council 4.4. So I will give a presentation. I will share my slides. So this is the so the today's presentation outline would be it start from entrepreneurships and innovations, and then we will jump into this technology readiness. One second. And then the technology. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. It's audible,
Yes.
sir.
Okay. And then I will jump into this technology readiness level, and then from then we will look into this technology commercialization and what will happen during the technology transfers, and we will conclude this session with that. So starting from this entrepreneurship, so being an entrepreneur and motivating all these people who are around me, and then people like you people. So how a startups and how entrepreneurship should be, and what are the things they have to do. So this is the topic it brings here actually. So before thinking about this innovations and how it will evolve and what are those stage, it's the entrepreneurships. If we get to know about what is that, and we give an exact idea of what we have to do as a process of this entrepreneurship. So coming to this presentation, there are the needs and problem of the world populations, there are a lot of problems are there, and we have to address all those problems. So as an entrepreneur, we are the people who identify and pursue the solution among the problems and possibilities among needs and opportunities among challenges. Right? Entrepreneurship is more than a creation of a business and the wealth associated with it. It is focused on the creation of new enterprises that serve the society and makes a positive change. Entrepreneurs can create great and reputable firms that exhibit performance, leaderships, and longevity, etc. So if you look at this table, you can see a lot of entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, which we come across daily lives and lot of information like that. So all these are the different successful companies. So if you look at this thing, what contribution have these people and organization have made, and what organization would you add to this list? What organization do you wish to have created or been a part of during its formative years, or what organization might you created in future? So these are the questions which will come. So if you see all these people,
Uh,
and there are many other people even in India as well. So there are these are some of the famous companies I have listed here, but there are very much successful companies
ఇది
and
కూడా ఆన్ చేసి
startups
పెట్టరాదు.
like Zomato, Swiggy, Ola, all those companies will comes under this list. And if you see, there is no age constraints, so people at any age they can come and start a venture, and their start is not like earlier. It has like there are different situations where companies will come and start. So we should not wait for the moment that this condition should be existing so that I have to start this company. But if you look at these people's profile, these companies have started in different times, different timelines, and with different difficulties. Still, it is successful. So, if you come across all those things, and there is no timeline, and we no need to work. But the thing is, like one point which we are motivated is that the concept or the solution, a problem solving mindset. If we see a problem and if we want to give a solution for that problem, then that our entrepreneurship's idea will start. So if you see this innovations, so it all comes from the innovations, right? So innovations, if you see, this is not a spontaneous thing. It's been very long time, starting from the first industrial revolutions till the fourth industrial revolution. A lot of things are happening around the world. If you see this graph from 1785 to 2020, lot of technologies are come up. A lot of innovations have come up. First, it was iron water power mechanizations, and then the steam powers, railway roads, those kind of things. And then it starts from the electricity, chemicals, internal combustion engines, all those steps. But now, if you look at these things, sustainability, radical resource productivity, all those kind of new things are coming up. So innovation is not a new thing, but it has progressed from very long time. So that's what we have to solve. So innovation has played a key role in economics. However, few field of science changed significantly at the beginning of 20th century, bringing forth the development of technologies. Key discoveries in theoretical and nuclear physics, organic chemistry, biotechnology, telecommunications, all these are during that time. And in past decade, the role of innovation have changed substantially again. The first Boeing, if you see the Boeing flight, Boeing 747, it took off in 1969, and it still is still the main aircraft carrying passengers over the oceans, and cars, motorcycles, all those things are coming up. So a good example of such development is in recent time is the IT sector, which is accelerating at an incredible speed. The first mobile phone from 30 years ago were large, like brick size kind of thing. 6 years ago, they were much smaller, but they were still just a phone. And now, a mobile works as a camera, a receiver, or TV, all these kinds of things. So, what modern entrepreneurship firm breed a constant flow of high impact product action. They create value and stimulate economic growth by bringing new methods, technologies, and ideas to the global marketplace. So this figure tells exactly that thing. So as entrepreneurs, we have to create values and have to stimulate, and that in turn will create an economic growth for this thing. So what is innovations? So now before that, we think like we will start a company and we will do all those steps. So according to our companies, like Indian Companies Act 2013, according to Section 2 clause subclause 68, what it tells is like company means a company incorporated under this act or any other act like that. But in a common language, what they used to say is a company is a legal person. So if a person is having a company, what they say is like, for me, like I used to say many times, what I used to say, I have delivered a baby. So it's a legal baby. It won't have any physical form, but it's again a person. So it have its own right. It will, according to law also, it is like that only. So it can't vote just like, but other than that, everything a legal entity can do that. So once this baby, once the legal person have born, that is the incorporation time. So it was born, then it has to survey on its own. But before getting incorporated, before the legal person have come up, there are a lot of activities have to be done. So that's where I take this whole topic, the whole topic. Uh, about the process of innovation development and technology readiness level and commercialization of lab technologies and technology transfer. All those things I personally take it as an innovation from cradle to grave. So it will have from the cradle to the grave, a lot of things will happen. So we have to look in that perspective. So from then we will see what is innovation and then the next topics. So coming to the innovations, innovations means what is innovation? So earlier, what happens? If we create some product, then we will tell it as an innovations. But recent times, it's not just the product. We have to change. We have created a lot of things. Earlier, there were communications where there are laptop, computerized IT, all those things were there. But suddenly, new things are coming out. So what the new things is not just the product, but the process, the management, all those things matters. So coming to this innovation, there are two people who give a general concept about innovations. So Peter's concept, and the second one is the Rothwell generation concept. So if you see the Peter concept, that this was the earlier definition what we discussed right now. Like creating a product means it's an innovation kind of thing. So introduction of new product or introduction of new method of production, opening of new market or development of new source of supply for the raw material. So this is what he termed as an innovation. And the Rothwell generation concept, what he tells is that innovation have 5 generations. So first one is the technology push model. So if you take the earlier time, the Einstein thing or all the scientists, what they believe is like they have created a lot of technologies, and with that technology, the electricity have came, the telecommunication have came. So those kind of period, that was the technology push was happened. But second, after utilizing all those things, the people or the commodity or the utilizer have they wanted more sophistication. So the market have pulled the creator or the developers to come up with lot of innovations. So the market pull model was, he termed that as a second generation kind of thing. Third one is the coupling of R&D and marketing. So it's not just the market, but we have to do a lot of R&D things and also the marketing things. So even a small product, if you take us in a normal or coconut oil or whatever it is, a basic material commodity which we are using on daily day-to-day basis, it have involved a lot of R&D. If you people might have come across this lace chips might be there. So why that shape of the lace chips is like that? So these are things will come under this R&D, and then the marketing. So these are the things which will come. And then the fourth generation things, what it came is the integrated business process model. So it's not just a creation of this thing, but it's not just the producing or it's not just R&D, but we have to look into all the aspect of the company's life cycle. So we have to integrate all the business process, all those things, and system integration and networking. It's not just with only the one particular industry, but we have to interlink with different systems. So if we have a product and then we have to have the logistics, so two different things, but we have to take care of all those things. So this is what he's Rockwell generation concept explains. So what from this, what we understand is like the innovation is inevitable and it is happening everywhere. And this it may ends up here in fifth generation, but generation after generation, the innovation doesn't stop there itself. So it will keep on progressing, and we as an entrepreneur, we have to see how the innovation have to be created and what are the things to look after all those things, right? So from this, we will go into this technology readiness level. So innovations, we have lot of laboratories, lot of research institutions, and from where we have experimented lot of technologies or ideas. So once the idea was conceptualized, and then we have to see whether it have a it will be useful for that, or how we have to scale up those things. So for that, framework was used that is called the technology readiness level. So readiness level are used to assess the maturity of the new technology towards full economic operation. Let's take an example like we have Hyperloop projects. So it was conceptualized by a famous entrepreneur, and he have conceptualized that idea. But whether our economy, we are planning to bring that project in India, and but still it was lagging. What is lagging? So that is called this readiness level. Whether our country is ready to adopt that kind of technology. So what are those things are hampering to bring those projects here? So this is the thing. So to assess the maturity of the new technology towards full economic operation, and to assist engineering managing risk, communicating development, and progress on specific deliverables. So technology framework. So we have created a framework, and that will help us whether this technology, what we have tested in our laboratory, will be a successful model or not. So if we using a framework kind of thing, it will be helpful for us to understand what exactly and where we are. So technology framework has been used in many variations across industries to provide a measurement of technology maturity from idea generation to commercialization. It means like different industry, not only in automobile, but also in the nuclear energy or in civil engineering. And likewise, there are different technologies will come up, and then from them how it will be useful. So this thing is helpful. The technology readiness level can also be adapted to support understanding of capabilities and resources required to develop technologies at different stage of development. It also not only to look into the market economies which should to have this handle the technology, but it will help internally as a entrepreneur or a product developer. It will help internally to understand what capabilities or resources is required to meet that development. So likewise, there are various technologies, readiness level frameworks are available. Even in India, our ISRO is using some kind of framework, and different research institute across readiness. So this is one framework. It was a very successful framework, and it was adapted by different universities in different countries. So what this framework, it was developed by NASA, and it was used levels of readiness. So what is the 10 level? If you look at this uh, first two levels, it restricts with the lab, first three levels of technology with district other labs. So what it is that if you look at this, is normally if you are doing a laboratory experiment, we have an idea. So with that idea, we have observed and we have conceptualized, come up with a technology or idea. So whether we can do it or we will do modes of proof of concept, all those things at the lab level. And then we will think about, okay, why not we bring those lab experiment to a real thing or a prototype we can do. So whatever we sit and work it, and then we will create a model like in the mechanical engineering or in the different streams of engineering. We used to have an process of creating a process or automobile things. We always have a different concept. We took all the concepts from the basic understanding, and then we will create a model. So here the small scale prototype is made, then the environment as well, and then the final systems we will create according to the relevant environment. So next comes to this after this prototyping, yeah, now our product is ready and then we can commercialize, check. We would be starting to source compensation system. If you look into this lot of mailers or business meetings, so we see lot of people they start demonstrating like in give their advancement or their innovations. So this is where the technology prototype demonstration in operational environment. And then the first commercial scale systems it will happen. But each activity haven't involved lot of steps. But if we have a framework like what we are doing and where we are, so it will help us to move our progress. So these are the framework. Not only this one particular framework, there are many frameworks according to different industries, but we can adapt according to the sector. Now comes to this about the innovation part. So how those innovation, what kind of thought will come, what entrepreneur, how he has to think about it. So all those things have come up. And then next initially consumption I have done by the individual or a person who are interested in product development. And then next comes to this technology readiness things. And after after replacing the or technology with the technology readiness framework comes to okay now we our product is tested and we can launch it like that. But then there is a new avenue that is called this technology commercial of transitioning technologies from the research lab to the marketplace. So it's a complicated process. First, an idea has to be carried from the concept to the proof of concept. Yeah, I have an idea. This will work.
సౌండ్ కరెక్ట్ వస్తుందా నేను చెప్పేది
So we have
బ్లర్
this
అవుతుంది
concept. It's a very basic concept, basic physics, and with that concept we can have an idea. So from that concept, proof of concept
ఇది ఎందుకు అట్లా వస్తుంది
evolved. So
రికార్డ్ అయితే కొంపల్సి
second, problem of attracting significant financing and overcoming manufacturing problems. Right. So this process is actually risky. So even if someone is starting a company, they will struggle to find an investor, or they want some finance to start to run the business. They might be having a very good idea, but that idea has to be marketable. So they have to go and present in some of the forums, and they have to find the investors, angel investors to invest into their startup, and from then we have to scale up. So this process is risky and involves long lead times and offers a great potential for a failure. So if you see a statistics of startups, one third of the startups will fail at the beginning years itself. So the failure rate is high for the startups, and it need lot of. So if you work before before starting a company, if you have lot strong proof of concept, and if you have put lot of effort, and if you have made good research on the market, then you can be successful. So consequently, industrial firms may be convinced the costly process involved in the commercialization university or laboratory product, or the process is worth risk. So still it is worth taking risk at this level. But what happens is there are a lot of barriers to the technology commercialization from the laboratory. For example, I'm from the IIT and I have come up with a recent technology. But I have made all those systems and a lot of experiment, and I made find out use cases and implement with real cases as well. But what comes, okay, I have done it, but I have to bring it to the market. So is that easy? If you ask me that question, it's not easy. So problem exists at both the government and industrial ends in the technology commercialization process. So generally firms recognize the value of new discoveries within universities and federal laboratories, but complications surrounding communication, security, and contractual arrangements tend to deter those not completely motivated. So this is the actual problem. So after a technology has been identified and as having a commercial potential, the obstacle to the commercialization process are as different as the nature of the technology and the technical capabilities of the users. In case of the specific product, with the user processing the necessary technical capability to adapt the product, obstacles to the transfer technology exist in the form of long or drawn out license or contractual contract. Until recently, the government took a position that technology developed at their expense should be equally available to everyone. However, openly available technology is too risky for most firms to expect because there is no digital advantage to overcome. So that's why there are a lot of barriers involved when we bring technology for commercialization. But there are some methods, so we can have a method to overcome these issues. So then the technology to be transferred in the laboratory expertise as opposed to the discrete product, or when the user does not have the capability to adapt the technology, a different approach must be used. Generally, there are two methods for transferring this type of technology. So the more common method is the laboratory to educate or train the user through formal classes, seminars, and conferences, like what we are doing. Like we are attending a seminar or conferences. We are going and giving a presentation, or we are publishing an article. So in this way, we can bring that technology to a commercialization. And then the less common is for the laboratory to act as a consultant and contract researchers. So this is very rare in Indian scenario, but there are places or universities which they do consulting and then contract. Even in our places also, might be in your institute, some concrete laboratory, concrete mix designs, those kind of activities are they might be done doing as a consultant, but not restricting with this contracting. Sorry, but other activities also be done for as a consultant and contract um, researchers. Although this later method may be efficient, a significant obstacle exists, including lack of incentive or willingness for the laboratory worker to work for the private firms and the reluctance to grant exclusive license or to allow laboratories to work for industries, because laboratories are publicly funded institutions. If you see all this laboratory in our India, especially all IITs or IICs, so they are publicly funded institute, and it may be inequitable for them to serve private needs. So it may be also inequitable to consultant if the laboratory employees are allowed to compete with them. So most of the thing in our institute, in our scenario, what we see is like there is no collaboration between industry and academia. So from there, the problem exists. But now we are coming up, we are overcoming all those things. Government have recognized all those issues, and they're bringing the industry and academia partnerships kind of thing. So that leads this technology transfer. So from one point, we have all these commercialization, we have lab tested technologies which have a high potential for market places, but still we have a lot of issues. But then there is other thing. Once we have to come out from the commercialization, we have to do technology transfers activities, all those things. So if you see this technology transfer, and this is the first step of the commercialization. So how it can be done? So what actually the technology transfer is, and what we do is our nation have a goal, so is to foster the transfer of new technologies into product for commercial benefits. The process of technology transfer varies widely from sector to sector and even from technology to technology. It's not particular to one technology. It depends, and it is not a one solution. So it have different technology or different sector will have a different approach for that. The most widespread mechanism for technology transfer is publication and presentation of technical finding at conferences, workshops, tutorials, webinars, or journals, all those things. This is one particular thing which is very important. So as a student or a scholar, we have to publish more, and it's not just a publication mindset. What we have come up, what we the idea which we have created with lot of laboratories and experimentation, we have to publish all those things. We have to go to the workshop and attend what the workshops, and then we have to deliver some speeches in conferences. So we have to do different varieties. We have to go talk with the colleges, and then we have to give training for those people, and we have to interact with the industry, and we have to get to know what the best practices the industries are involved are doing, and we have to adopt that best practices in our daily activities. So the importance of those activities cannot be overstated. Any form in which new ideas and results will probably stimulate other activity, and the forms in which industry or together particular take away new idea or a new solution to a problem from a present it's being obvious to the presenter. So as a presenter, we may not know that is being, but our output, our outcome of giving a presentation in conference it's a very significant one. So this is the nature of confidentiality in the industrial sphere. Another important mechanism of knowledge transfer is the migration of human resource between different position and sector. For example, from academia to industry. So very less people, even for me, if you take personally, in my case, we nearly seven people were there in now in my labs, but out of seven, only one I came out to industry to bring okay what we have done, what the knowledge I have gained. So we will commercialize those activities. We will bring some innovations in the process. We will change the process what the existing from the existing thing. So this is the thing. But this transfer is also there, but very little people. So people will start contributing to the knowledge, but very less people will think about the commercialization. So we should have an idea as a presenter or a research scholar or a student, what is our role and how we are contributing to the nations or that kind of thing. So technology transfer is the first step that knowledge and discovery take on the path to become a product or service for the general public, as I said. And after a new idea or invention with commercial potential is discovered, technology transfer is also known as tech transfer or T2, is the process that allow others to legally practice the invention. So once we have done some innovations in our laboratory, once we have the moment when we transfer the technology, it can be practiced by everybody, and it should have commercially, usually through a patent license or inventions license. So tech transfer is the business process. Mm, for the union government, which employ thousands of in our country, if you see this thing, our government, which employ thousands of scientists and engineers, technology transfer means actual license. Hello, shall I
Yes, sir.
continue?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Yeah. So it means, according to our Indian scenario, that means is the official licensing of government-owned intellectual properties. Typically, that's how we say, and typically it says the patenting thing. We will patent our innovations to the companies and startups. Those companies develop the ideas into product or service, which in turn create jobs and sustain the country's competitive advantage in the global marketplace. So technology transfer is more common than you might think. The government have thousands of technologies, and hundreds of companies have been using technology transfer to acquire the right to them. So multinational companies like Philips or Johnson and Johnson's have recently licensed many technologies. So this is happening side by side. But the nation's universities and laboratories have always have a connection to the country's business. So what we are doing as a student or a research scholar here in IIT Guwahati or somewhere in the research institute, we have contribution, we have a direct connection with the business actually. So we should not think we are isolated and we are a part of curriculum, and once we done our thesis or our projects, our thesis will be placed in some cupboards and it will be useless. So that kind of mindset should not be there, but actually government have taken a lot of initiatives, and they're bringing a lot of industries to come into this institution, and they look into what the problem you are solving and whether it is useful for the real cases as well. So like that it's happening. So um, tech transfer is about converting all those things. But why it is like why we need this tech transfers? So prototyping and developing the next world-changing innovation. So we have to do this kind of things. So identifying ways to spread ideas to companies and entrepreneurships through outreach, communication, marketing. So all through all these ways, in any of one of these ways, we have to do technology transfers. And the main purpose of technology transfer is to aid the country's economy by making their product, actually, make their product companies more competitive in the global. The technology transfer from the laboratory is to get the innovations and interventions developed by government employee into the hands of the relevant member of the private industry as fast as possible in an arrangement useful for commercialization. That is exactly the technology transfer. The idea is to get the private sector involved early so that the end result is a valuable product or service. So that's how we have to think. If we are doing a project or if you're thinking about an idea, we have to, it should have a market. So if you are bringing the private players inside, then a public private partnership, it will bring a lot of innovations, actually. So to bring that, there are different models are there. So it's not just like that we are publishing the papers and giving a presentations or writing an article. That's not the only thing. But there are many methods to bring this technology transfers. So the thing is like there's sorry, the information dissemination model is there. So in which the information is made available for industries use. So whatever the thing we are doing, that information, how those process, so we have to disseminate all those information which will be useful for the industrial use. And then the second thing is the licensing model, in which the exclusive rights are granted to a firm so that it may develop the technology. Let's take for an example, there is a solid waste management project is there. So we are collecting and then transporting from one place to the other place, and then the composting or the end process of the solid waste management project is there. In that, there are different models that we can either incinerate or we can make pellets or we can use in different, bring a lot of technologies. So from where we have experimented in the laboratory, but whether it will be useful, whether we can in solid waste management project also we can see we can extract a lot of energy from that. So we can burn that solid waste and bring energy, and it will be useful if we can connect it with the grid, all those things. So these kind of things are there. We have done in laboratory, but we, if someone has to do for a commercial purpose, then we have to give a license. That is a grant giving for the private players. Like the venture capital model, that in which the venture capitalist acting on behalf of entrepreneur, taking an active role in determining the commercial potential of the laboratory technology. So, as a researcher or as an academician, we may not be good at market. Like we may not, we may lag in entrepreneurship skills. But the thing is, like, we have a lot of ideas. We have done a lot of experiments. But the venture capitalist will come in contact with those, will be in a close touch with the researcher or the laboratories, and from then they will extract those ideas and they will bring an commercialization of the output. And then this is for a small venture, like very large companies will also come. So if you see all these top institutes, laboratory, it was funded by some of the big firms. If you see Google have sponsored labs, and then Bosch labs will be the different kinds of Samsungs. They will give a lot of funding. Autodesk in our civil field, they give a lot of funding for establishing laboratories. So if you see all this IIT Madras and IIC Bangalore, even in our here in IIT Guwahati, we have a lot of interactions with different top industries. What they do is they come and collaborate with the academia, and then they will give us support like a technology support or academic support, all those kind of. From then with that use, we will be directly connected with the industry, and then our ideas will also be commercialized with that help. And then the last one is the incubator, our science park model. This is very interesting model, and this is where I'm right now. And my company, as a startup, I have incubated with this kind of thing. So earlier, these kind of working in laboratory is fine, but coming up, commercializing the technology or the work what we have done for a commercial purpose is not that easy. So this one incubator kind of thing. There are a lot of incubators, not just a public incubators, but there are many private incubators actually. If you go to the all metro cities, like especially in Bengaluru or in Chennai, there are many incubators where they incubate you. Incubators is like protect you. They will give all the nutritions, like in our biotechnology or the biology lab, the fungi algae will be there, and they will give all the nutrition for them. They will nurture, they will grow all those things. Likewise, our company will also have all these kind of input. They will find the investors, they will find the marketing team or the development teams, all those things. If we have a good idea, and then there are a lot of science park also. Like if you see IIT Madras have a own park, research park is there, and here in IIT Guwahati we have, and in India there are many research parks are there where it plays as an incubator and it helps the startups. And if we going up with some kind of ideas, we can collaborate with those faculties or experts, and then we can bring a lot of innovation. So it will help. Earlier I said that one third of the startup will die early. So in order to overcome that issue, so we should not die actually. We should not let our baby die. So we have to go and incubate with these people so that they will nurture you. They will give all necessary things which we can't give at the initial time. So this is also one of them. So each of these model have benefit to certain aspect of commercialization of technology, a variation or a combination of two or more may be suitable for specific applications. Most government laboratories rely on only to the information dissemination and licensing. So especially in our case, but not recently, but earlier it was like that dissemination model and licensing model was the practice. But now we have come up with a lot of other things as well. So, method of increasing industry awareness includes seminars, database publications, and conferences. Seminars are initiated by the laboratory, by an industry or a trade group. Databases are usually established on broader systems than an individual laboratory, like our NASA or research laboratories, likewise. So this is how different models are had to transfer our lab technology to a marketplace. Now comes there are different tools. What are those tools we use to transfer? So federal legislation authorizes a variety of agreements that allow federal agency to work with other federal and non-federal entities. For example, if we are sitting in our lab and we are coming up with innovative thoughts and ideas, and there are different like DST is there, all those Department of Science and Technology, Ministry, all those people are looking for these kind of thing, and they are giving funding, they are attracting, they are giving more help, like sponsored kind of thing for attending the seminar, all those kind of things are also happening where technology transfer provides a security for knowledge and accompanying technical knowledge, technical data, including intellectual properties, under technology transfer agreement. So if you see all these things, why we have an idea, but what are those tools? Why we have to do this technology transfer, and how we can protect? We have kind of we have invested a lot of time and a lot of ideas in that. So we have to protect all those things. So there is a problem called this intellectual property rights. So that intellectual property should not. It's a right. It's our fundamental right kind of thing. So it should not be taken by somebody. So in order to protect that, so all these two tools will be helpful. So first thing is the patent, and second one is the confidentiality, which we make under an agreement, and then the product liability. So if you look at this patent, when transfer involved patented intellectual property to a third party in the country, other than where it is patented protection, it is important to register for patent in the country of the third party. Patents are territory specific. The agreement should clearly and fully capture this aspect. Failure to do so will cause irreparable loss with no remedies recourse. So patenting whatever the ideas we have to patent with that. So we will see what is the steps or how what are which are the institutions involved in patenting all those things in the next couple of slides. So, but the thing is, we should understand there is a concept called patent. If you are coming up with some innovative thoughts or ideas, then if you are working on it, then try to patent it, right? So next comes to this confidentiality. So loss of confidentiality will get a tantamount of to a loss of property. So if our ideas have mm, loss or somebody have used that, then that is it's a big loss as a property. So therefore confidentiality clauses covering in detail the damages in case of loss of information by negligence or otherwise on the part of the transferee, as well as right to obtain an injection by the transferor, should be considered unincorporated. So if you see all these terms, there are Indian laws are also there. There is Indian contract law is act is there. So it will talks about all these confidentiality and then the product liabilities, all those things. So in product liabilities, who shall be the responsible in case of product liability claimed by the consumer? Many try to ignore or silent about this aspect, wishing away the prospect. The pertinent thing is to do is to carry out a risk assessment, and if the risk probability possible, both the parties should decide on the model's probability and to the following the eventually and capturing the agreement. So we have to see the product liability also. So let's take in our example in our construction or in the civil engineering part of things. So there are different trades will be there, different specialists will be there. Like for example, structural engineer will be there, the water resource engineer will be there, or GIS person will be there. So each person using different technologies or different tools to do their jobs. But when it comes to the outcome, if they are everybody are working for one particular objective for executing a project or some projects. So all these people, so what these people will bring their own ideas, but what happens is there is a technology or the intellectual property things will be get infringed. So that's why these kind of contractual ability this, terms we are used here. And there is a direct international claims coming to this legislation enabling legislation things. Before 1990, our market was, and if we want to use some international brand, there is no access to do that. If we can't use Audi car or all those international brands, because we our market is not open. But after 1990s, our market have that liberalization policy have come up, and our market is open. We can start a company outside, and a person from outside our territory can come and have an industry. Now if you look at the automobile industry, even big top companies in the world, everybody have their own unit or manufacturing or any of the service unit in our India. So likewise, that legislation will play an important role here. So, with the advent of globalization in the late 1990s, some of the laws were amended to synchronize with the international conventions like GATT, TRIPS, GATTs. All those things are agreement which we abide to the international thing like the World Trade Organizations kind of things. So, what are the three main things? The Trademark Act, and then the Copyright Act, and then the Patent Act. So, this Trademark Act was repealed in 2009 and reenacted as a Trademark Act 2009 with amendment to consolidate the laws related to the trademark. So it was repeatedly amended in 2016, 2017, and till 19. And 2019 Act provide more extensive provisions. So whatever we do, the trademarking things, we have to do that. And then next comes to this Copyright Act, which was amended in 2012 and again in 2016. Similarly, the Patent Act was also there. Patent of the rules were amended and revised recently in 2020 as well. So what these amendment have come up. So if you take this Patent Act, so earlier what they see is like if you want to make a patent, only the product developing things only they will consider for patent. But what happened after the amendment is like even the changes in the process or in the stages of different process, we can patent it. So that are the different things. After the liberalization, we have come up with a lot of amendments. So in that way, it will help. So in Organization Conference on Trade and Development, that is a body, and strives to bring the gap between the developing, underdeveloped countries, and the technology transfer is a major tool used by this body, and particularly to improve the economy of the developing countries. However, there is no internationally accepted standards. There is no particular standards for this thing, but this is how these things happens. So if we consider all these technology, if we're starting from innovations, so last I said, innovations, it have a, cradle from grave, so it starts from cradle and it ends up till the grave, so all those things are involved in that. So after, even after patenting or trademarking or all those activities, then our company will start existing with that technology, so then a new set of challenges will come. So but my topic for today is, I will restrict with this preconception stage as I term personally. So pregnancy thing, I will take it as a baby has born. So before that, a preconception stage, baby, how it will, we have to nurture it, how it will form, all those things. So these topics I personally consider. This particular topic I personally consider it as a preconception stage of a company or a person who want to bring their idea to a marketplace. So from this, I will end up my lecture. And if you have any further questions, please ask me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Dear students, if you have any questions, please ask your questions.
Yes.
Hello, sir. I have a small
Yes.
doubt. See how to decide the public use of any product or service. For example, current example is Zomato.
Yes.
So they have started very long age to sharp their skills of development.
Actually, that's where, if we have an idea and we want to see a problem in that, there are a lot of tools are available. So we can use the basic this tools like opportunity thread, and then those kind of tools will help us. So we can, if we using that kind of tools or the places like incubation centers, those people will help us in finding all those things. Instead of telling this Zomato things, I wanted to bring this kind of thing. So not only I don't want to restrict only with this Zomato, but we have to come to a place where we can have a discussion, or where we can find a solution for all those talks. So these are the places, or these are the right tools. If you are using the different kind of tools, so what the as the best practices by the industry, then it can be addressed very easily, or easily in the sense we can, it makes sense actually. What we are just thinking about it will not work. So we have to go and we have to sit in that place and we have to do a brainstorming and then discussion with a lot of the experts. That will bring in solution for that, I believe.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from your side, students? Thank you. Now I request HOD madam to give few words before concluding this session.
Yes, sir, it was a very good topic. It will be very much helpful for our students and the faculty also who joined today's lecture, sir. And we are very much thank you for that, giving inputs to the students and the faculty.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Now I request Dr. Subhash sir to s- give the vote of thanks to our resource person.
Yeah, then it's a nice session for it is meant to be a brainstorming session for our students. Okay, I hope all students have enjoyed this session. And if you have any queries or anything, you can follow up. Okay, I can have the I can share the contact details to you. So it's very nice, Mr. Vijay, and say, have you shared your experience from the low level to the highest level, how to make a technology, how to make a transferring of the rights taking the innovation to the rights. Okay, so thank you all.
Yes, I personally thank Dr. Shubhas for inviting me for this talk, and I thank you, Shubhas. And he is my
Thank,
one of my close friend,
thank you,
and we
thank
meet
you.
from the same class. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, students, you can exit the session.